He cheated, he got exposed, he issued the kind of apology that makes things worse, and the internet lost its mind.
But why did Andy Byron's affair become the drama of the week when infidelity is nothing new? Today on Miss Biz, we're going to unpack why this story went viral and how you, as a business owner, can reverse engineer its power to.
Lady bosses, are you working even after putting the kids to bed but still not getting results?
Are you tired of spending money on ads that aren't getting engagement?
Do you feel burdened that you aren't fulfilling your purpose in life because you are so consumed with work?
I'm your host, Brooke Boltz. I'm an attorney and founder of Boltz Legal. I started my business and in 1 year was bringing in 7 figures and am now bringing in multi-7 figures.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Boltz, owner of Boltz Media. I've helped many businesses build their online presence and increase their revenue through digital marketing.
Want to hear how we did it?
We are here to help you achieve your goals personally, professionally, and spiritually.
So kick off your high heels, sit back, and let's ignite that passion.
We're Miss Biz, where we're putting the miss in biz.
Let's get biz done. If you've been living under a rock and you don't know what happened, Andy Byron, a tech executive, attended a Coldplay concert with his coworker, Kristen Cabot. Mid-show, the two were caught on the Jumbotron in a clearly romantic embrace. The moment they noticed they were on the screen, they immediately hid their faces.
I imagine this must have been what Adam and Eve looked like when they realized they were naked.
Yes, there was definitely culpability all over their faces. Mm-hmm. That was the signal to the entire arena and soon the entire internet that something was wrong. Something secret. And by the next morning, the video was viral.
Yeah, this is a juicy one. Within 24 hours, the clip had over 15 million views on TikTok. Reddit threads were decoding their relationship timeline. Screenshots of both their spouses' social media pages were circulating. And Andy Byron, he became a meme name. Like, Brooke's husband may not even know how to fold laundry, but at least he doesn't go to Coldplay concerts.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He's like, at least I don't go to Coldplay concerts on everything that I complain about. But there were a lot of memes like that. It was pretty funny. So why this story went viral when cheating isn't news? I mean, cheating happens every day and no one really cares. But infidelity isn't new. Office romances aren't new. But this story hit a nerve. And more importantly, it hit the algorithm. So let's break down the factors that made this so popular.
Well, it wasn't a private confrontation. It happened on a Jumbotron at a Coldplay concert, which is a shared, emotional, high-profile space. And Coldplay is a global name. Their concerts are emotional. The setting gave this moment a layer of spectacle and celebrity adjacency.
So the takeaway that you can have for this from this story is to tie your message to something culturally recognizable. Maybe it's Taylor Swift or the Super Bowl or a trending news article, but you can borrow attention from where it already exists.
One way that I do this for my social media marketing, I don't do it all the time, is I will take like the CEO of Instagram giving a tip, and then I will use his first part of it, and then I will interject my opinion after it. So I'm kind of like capitalizing on someone who already has the audience and is well respected in the industry.
Yeah. And this video, I made a legal analysis of and explained on a video why or whether this was a violation of their privacy. And that video on TikTok got like 18,000 views, which is a lot more views than I ordinarily get. So I was just kind of taking what was trending and talked about it within my business, and it got more attention than I usually get.
The second aspect that made this viral is that they were caught in the act in HD. So the Jumbotron video had it all. A romantic moment, a beat of panic, a visual cue of guilt. Their faces were immediately hidden, and it was visual storytelling perfection. No captions needed. Viewers instantly understood what they were seeing. So the takeaway from this is think in visual moments. Can someone see your message in 5 seconds? Use format to your advantage. Before and after, screenshots, reactions, and dramatic contrast.
Yesterday I saw a video online that was so cute. It was a toddler, probably like 2 years old, with a baby brother or sister who was maybe like 6 months old, and they were cuddled up on the bed and watching a TV show together, and the caption said, "This is your sign to have a second child." But the caption isn't really what's so important, but it just the visual moment of that. The moment you see this baby and toddler cuddled up on a bed watching TV, your heart just melts. You didn't need any other explanation. It just evoked emotion just by the visual.
Now, before you go out and have a second child, just remember that is not always the case. They will not always be snuggling. There's always exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
So the third tip is, or the third aspect of what made this video go viral, is that the office relationship and the hypocrisy. So Andy and Kristen were co-workers. Actually, he was her boss, technically speaking. She, I believe, worked in human resource management, or she was doing a lot of human resourcing. But they were both married to other people. And this wasn't just an affair, it was layered. So there was a professional boundary blurred, there was marital betrayal, and public deception.
So the fact that they were presenting normal, stable lives publicly made the reveal sting harder. It wasn't just a scandal, it was hypocrisy exposed. And audiences love that. They love accountability. So the takeaway is to share stories that unmask discrepancy. That's why your brand values and customer experience must match.
Absolutely. The fourth aspect is the private matter apology that backfired. So when Andy finally released his statement, it wasn't really an apology. He called it a deeply personal moment that should have never been made public. So instead of taking that accountability for his actions, he redirected the blame, suggesting that he was the victim, and that move lit the fire again. So the brand takeaway is when a brand messes up, a bad apology can do more damage than silence.
Yeah. Carrie Underwood fans all over the world who enjoy singing. I dug my key into the side of his, what's the name of the song?
Before He Cheats?
Yes, Before He Cheats. Before He Cheats fans all over the world were fired up over his apology, including me. When I read that apology, the first part of it, if you haven't seen it, is he's like, "I'm deeply sorry, blah, blah, blah." But then it's like shifting the blame. Like, this was a deeply personal moment that never should have been made public. And it's like, dude, you went to a concert with thousands of people.
A Coldplay concert.
How is that a private moment? That's nothing private about it. You're amongst thousands of people, and then you're gonna get upset that you got busted out in public. And so it's just, but people, that give people more to talk about. They were really annoyed by what seemed like a disingenuous apology.
Nothing he would have said would have made it right. Like, the internet had already made up their mind. So even if he did have a very sincere apology, people would have had something negative to say, because that's how people are.
Well, because he was caught. Like, bottom line is he was caught red-handed. So any apology he would have made would have felt like, yeah, you're just apologizing because you're caught.
Right.
But he still could have tried a little harder.
Oh, for sure.
And I think the takeaway here is that when your brand messes up, a bad apology can do more damage than silence. And I think we always want to do that. We always want to defend our actions or explain them so that they don't seem so bad. But in reality, it's better to just acknowledge the harm, take accountability, and say how you're going to fix it. Having a standout speaker resume is so important to booking speaking engagements. If you're looking to increase your speaking engagements, but don't know where to start with your speaker resume and you'd like to see a couple of examples, we would be happy to share ours with you.
Go to missbiz.com/contact and in the subject line type speaker resumes and we'll send you your copy today.
Yeah, and the fifth aspect is he was memeable because he was familiar. People knew him even if they didn't know him. So the takeaway there is your brand should be just as specific, not a wellness coach, the burnout recovery coach for women who hate morning routines. The more clearly you define yourself, the easier it is to share your story. And I actually suggest this to my clients in their profile names, to put what they do in their profile names. So that's why I had changed my name in my profile, so when people are looking up specific keywords, I would pop up, but also so people would know what I did.
It's a good idea. I need to do that. But the other thing too is, I think why this evoked a lot of emotion is because you don't know Andy Byron, but you know that guy. Mm-hmm. You know someone like him, and you've been impacted by someone like him. Maybe it was an ex of yours, or maybe it was a family member of yours, but everyone knows someone like that. And so when you make a meme about someone who is well known, that type of person is well known, it can become popular. And also, we're talking a lot about Andy, and I don't want to let Kristen off the hook either. She was married to someone else, so she is equally at fault. But for whatever reason, the internet seems to really be more upset with him, I think because he was in the higher authority figure within the workplace.
Yeah, she was a subordinate. So he, in the position that he was in, was not supposed to be like what do they call it?
A subordinate relationship.
Yeah. They were not supposed to be doing that. So what you can learn as a business owner from this is you don't need to be involved in a scandal to benefit from the mechanics of virality. Here's how you can use the same storytelling structure with integrity. So every viral moment has 3 elements, and you can refer to it as the ACE framework. So the first one is A for attention, which is a hook or a setting that's already emotionally charged.
C is contradiction, a twist, a hypocrisy, or a surprise.
E is emotion. That's the content must provide or provoke a feeling, human. I'm sorry. I cannot talk right now. E is for emotion. The content must provoke feeling, whether that be humor, betrayal, justice, or joy.
So you can build brand content around this framework. A founder that starts with failure, a founder story that starts with failure, a customer story with an unexpected result, or a myth-busting post that flips the norm.
You can also lean into receipts and realness. So people shared the Andy Byron clip because it was real and unfiltered. You can replicate this with unfiltered client testimonials, raw voice notes, or day in the life of videos, visuals of your messy process, not just polished outcomes, because perfection is out, but proof is in.
So what makes something meme-worthy? Simplicity, specificity, and we've all seen this guy energy.
Yeah, to me, when I make memes, it's all about relatability.
Yeah.
Because when people can relate and connect to something, that's when they're going to share something with someone.
Yes. So brands can engineer their own moments by embracing humor and character. So here's a template to follow. You know you're a blank if you blank. So you know you're a lawyer if you have 25 yellow pads in your car.
It reminds me of those jokes. Remember when we first started the podcast, we were telling industry jokes? That's what it reminds me of.
Yes, roasting, how you would roast each other. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's an easy template that you can follow to make a simple meme.
Yeah, you want to make sure that your brand is something that people want to joke with, not just buy from. So numbers that back this up, if you look at the data, videos that provoke strong moral reactions like injustice or betrayal are 62% more likely to be shared.
Wow.
And TikTok content under 60 seconds gets 3 times the engagement when it shows emotional contrast.
Posts with public figures or celebrities see a 47% boost in reach. And apologies that include specific language of accountability retain 80% more brand trust.
So you don't need to get caught in the Jumbotron to go viral. You just need to create content that feels emotionally alive.
So your content checklist is 1, use culturally relevant settings or hooks. 2, be specific about identity and story. 3, tap into contradiction or emotional surprise. 4, always show proof, which can include visuals, testimonials, or stories. And 6, is that 6? Yes, 6, when things go wrong, own it fast and be genuine in your apology.
Yeah, people don't follow brands for polish, they follow them for resonance.
So one other thing that we wanted to discuss is that when you're a public figure, that there really is no such thing as a private life.
Not at all. You are always on display. And I think that's important as Christian business owners to remember that if you carry influence, you carry accountability. Your witness is always on display, even on date night, even in the VIP section.
So we talked about the incident with Andy Byron, but there's other leaders who lost everything by making poor judgment decisions. One example is Elizabeth Holmes. She founded her company Theranos at the age of 19 and set out to revolutionize laboratories through blood tests that could be performed rapidly while using very small amounts of blood. By age 31, she was a celebrated young entrepreneur in a male-dominated Silicon Valley. By then, she was worth $9 billion, the youngest self-made billionaire in the United States. She later was sentenced to over 11 years in prison for defrauding investors by lying about the company's blood testing technology and financial status. She falsely claimed the device could run extensive tests from a small blood sample. She used fake lab results and demonstrations and misled partners with inflated financials. Despite expressing regret, she did not admit wrongdoing. Her sentencing marks a major warning in Silicon Valley about the dangers of ambition without integrity and the serious consequences of investor deception.
It's really sad to be, it must have been incredibly devastating to be the youngest female self-made billionaire by the age of 31, only to have it all stripped away because you decided to make false claims to investors. So it just goes to show you that everything can be taken away from you so quickly. So truly how you interact and live your life makes a big difference.
Yeah. Another example of someone who was high on the mountain and then lost it all was John Schnatter.
Something like that.
He was the Papa John's founder, is how you more likely know him. But he lost his empire over a racial slur and a pattern of inappropriate conduct. Years of success evaporated overnight. He lost his leadership role and public standing after using a racial slur during a 2018 media training call. The backlash was immediate. He resigned as chairman, the company removed his image from branding, and major sponsors cut ties. This followed an earlier controversy in 2017 when he blamed the NFL's handling of anthem protests for falling sales, prompting his resignation as CEO. Further damage came from a Forbes report alleging a toxic workplace culture under his leadership, which he denied. Legal disputes with Papa John's ended in a 2019 settlement with Schnatter stepping down from the board. Despite attempts to reclaim his reputation, the fallout permanently altered his role in the company and damaged public trust.
When it comes to social media, sometimes having a scheduling tool can be extremely helpful, but with so many different options, it's difficult to determine which one is best for your needs as well as your budget. That's why we created the Social Media Planner Comparison Chart.
Then you can look at all the different options and choose the one that's best for you. For your free copy, visit missbiz.com/contact and simply type into the subject line Social Media Comparison Chart.
Steve Easterbrook, which many of us probably haven't heard of, but some of us might have. He's the former CEO of McDonald's. He was once praised for revitalizing the fast food giant with modern strategies and digital innovation. However, his downfall came swiftly in 2019 after it was revealed that he had a consensual but undisclosed relationship with an employee, which is a clear violation of the company policy. But that wasn't the whole story. After his termination with a hefty severance package, a deeper investigation revealed multiple undisclosed relationships, inappropriate use of company resources, and dozens of explicit images and emails sent from his company account. So McDonald's responded by firing him with cause retroactively, suing him to recover his 40+ million severance, which is one of the largest clawback efforts in corporate history. And they also publicly condemned his lack of integrity and breach of trust. So here's the pattern. When your character cracks, your company collapses. You can either build something that's massive, but if the foundation is cracked by sin or ego, it's going to fall.
You know, this is something that we've talked about before, in that if you want to have a successful business long term, it really starts with personal development. Because if you have these secret sins or that you're hiding, they're not going to stay hidden forever. And when they eventually come to light, it's not just going to now affect your personal reputation, but it's going to take down your business and everything that you've worked for. Mm-hmm. So it's just important as a business owner to, especially as a Christian business owner or business professional, that you're always working on yourself and working to eliminate sin from your life as much as you can.
Yeah. And what we can learn from astronomers' mistakes are that they didn't just react slowly, they let the internet tell the story first. So after the video went viral, there was 24 hours of silence. There was 24 more hours to process a resignation. There was no ownership, no clarity, no humility. So as Christian leaders, we can take this as a crisis playbook to make sure that we're responding immediately, being transparent and not defensive, and leading with repentance and not reputation.
We live in a digital age where perception moves faster than the facts. The moment you fumble morally, your silence says everything. So your HR chief should not be your co-star in a scandal. That's not just poor judgment. That's a breach of integrity and trust.
And some people may argue that this whole thing was staged, that the kiss cam was no accident. I'm sure if you go on TikTok, you can type in the Jumbotron conspiracy or something to that nature, and you will get a bunch of different theories that people have. You know, that Byron was the placeholder leader and that this scandal was an implosion to make way for the co-founder, Pete DeJoy, to step into CEO and just as they ramp up for their IPO buzz. But whether or not it was calculated or not, the fallout was real. LinkedIn pages were deactivated, employees misidentified and harassed, families got dragged into the headline, and a company was marked forever by a meme. So even if it was a stunt, you never need to sin to scale. And I think this kind of ties back with what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about going viral. You never need to sin to scale. You don't need a scandal to trend. And you don't need a fall to fuel your rise, because God doesn't anoint marketing schemes based on moral failure.
So practically speaking, here are some non-negotiable rules for every Christian entrepreneur, founder, or executive in this era. First is build character before brand. If you spend more time curating your Instagram than your inner life, you are a crisis waiting to happen.
So true. So true. Never compromise the mission for momentum. So don't sacrifice your witness for clicks, for funding, for virality. Remember, Satan offered Jesus the world if he bowed. So don't take deals with devils, no matter how profitable they may seem.
Third is create accountability around you. Do your people have permission to call you out? Or do they only clap and applaud you? Leaders without guardrails become headlines. And that reminds me, on the Jumbotron video, another coworker was standing right next to them. Mm-hmm. And so she was clearly aware of what was happening. And so I don't know her story, if she got drug into this or if she was feeling, I don't know if she was the person, the third party there to make it seem as though there was nothing inappropriate happening. But she was clearly not someone who was holding them accountable. Mm-hmm. But you want to have where your employees have that freedom to let you know when you're out of line. Yeah. Sometimes we need other people to tell us.
Yeah. And it's important to always lead like someone's watching, because someone is, not just your investors, not just your audience, but your kids, your employees, and most importantly, God. And this Coldplay moment, it isn't just gossip, it's a mirror, it's a wake-up call. So if you're a Christian in business, you don't just represent a company, you represent Jesus. So you don't get to separate your private life from your public life. And honestly, that's a good thing, because real leadership is lived and not staged.
So today, take a moment and ask yourself, is there anything in my private life that would disqualify me publicly? Am I leading with transparency or hiding behind success? And third, if my Coldplay moment happened tonight, what would the world see?
You don't need to trend to make an impact. You don't need a scandal to be seen. And you don't need to fall to rise again. You just need to lead well and with integrity.
We appreciate you and are honored to be on this journey with you. We can't wait to help you, to encourage you, and show you how to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually.
If you found Miss Biz helpful, please leave a review and share with others.
You can follow us on social media at Miss Biz Podcast.
For legal questions or services, please visit boltslegal.com.
And for digital marketing needs, please visit boltsmedia.com. Let's get biz done.